Good morning, everyone. Welcome to RevAMP 2025. We are so excited for you to be here for our very first virtual conference specifically designed for sales leaders. My name is Sammy Focarino. I'm the Senior Manager of Events and Partnerships here at Consensus, and I will be the moderator for our opening keynote. We're going to kick off the day with Adapt, Sell, Win in a Digital First World and the Rise of the Antisocial Buyer with Consensus CEO Doug Johnson. RevAMP is presented by Consensus. Transform how you sell with Consensus, the leading demo automation platform. You can learn more at goconsensus.com or click Watch a Demo at the top of your screen. Before we jump in, I'd like to take a moment to encourage you to participate in today's session by using the chat function found on the right hand of your screen. That's where you can also find the Q&A box, which we'll use at the end of the session. So please paste your questions at any time. If at any time you're having technical difficulties, please head to the gear button on the bottom of your screen, and here you'll find a help document to troubleshoot common issues. Lastly, we encourage you to stop by the virtual expo hall to visit our premier partners and get more information on our raffle giveaway. And now I would like to introduce the CEO of Consensus, Doug Johnson. Welcome Doug to the stage.
All right, thank you, Sammy. Appreciate it. Sammy, you did that fast. That was amazing.
I'm snappy, speedy.
All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody. Man, I'm so happy that you're all here, excited about RevAMP, and super excited about our speakers and our lineup of speakers. The CEOs and CROs and leaders of sales truly are world-class thought leaders. So super excited about that. RevAMP, let's just reflect for a moment. Things are changing so fast. The sands are shifting under our feet. And the reality is that RevAMP is just dedicated to the learning and the adapting and the winning as a result of it. So what you're going to hear today is just very, very current thought leadership on how to adapt, and how to sell in this digital first world. So that's exactly where I'm going. I'm going to talk about changes that are happening, and really three things. Number one, how radically different buyers are in this new market, how the buyer has changed. And we have evidence of that. We have empirical, undisputable evidence of this buyer changing, and I'm going to share it with you. And then I'm going to discuss the reasons why that we believe this change has occurred in the buyer. Because if we understand the big three reasons of change, I think we'll understand how to speak to them, how to communicate to them. And then last, we're going to talk about how to adapt considering that. All right, so let's get started. And where I want to start is with the bad news. And the bad news is this, man. Buyers they don't want to talk to us anymore. And it's a real thing. This isn't just a speculation. This isn't hypothesis. This is a very real thing. And what you have to know about this, sellers, is this: it's not personal. It is behavioral. The modern buyer's journey has completely changed, and it's changed because the buyer has changed. And here's the kind of the punchline: they want control. They want information on their time. They want to self-service. And in our old world, the world built, and listen carefully to this, please, the world built around seller-led education. Think Medic and Medpic and Sandler and Spin and Challenger and all the things that we've been taught along the way, right? Those are seller-led motions. The new world, although there's great concepts in those tools, but the new world is truly a buyer-led exploration. And we have to acknowledge that. And if you understand how to acknowledge that and get your head around it, great things are going to happen. All right. I said I had some facts around this. Let me dig into them. So here on this page are 3 data points. Again, they're undisputable. This is the facts. And I'm going to start on the left and go to the right. On the left, Forrester says that 75% of buyers now prefer self-service. Pause for effect. 75% of buyers prefer self-service. These are B2B buyers. And oh, by the way, this data is 1 year old. It's a little over a year old. We think now it's over 80% of buyers prefer to self-serve digitally. Second data point, Gartner in the middle of the page. Today's B2B buyers group time allocation. What this is Gartner studied the buying group in total and where they spend their time. Where does the buying group in B2B enterprise spend their time? Here's the answer. 83% of their time, they spend it asynchronously without you. Only 17% of the buying cycle is spent with sellers. And oh, by the way, more bad news, you're sharing that with other vendors. Your first question is, so what was that like a few years ago? 5 years ago, that number was 50%. 50%. 5 years ago, sellers or buyers rather were going to sellers to get information, right? That's where they came. And in today's world, that information is largely available digitally. And so this is the reaction. Last data point. If you think that wasn't enough, the last data point is that buying groups have tripled in size. All right. So you're now looking at not 5 or 6 decision makers with maybe 1 or 2 champions. You're now looking at 15, 16, 17, and you don't even know those stakeholders, right? And what's more, they don't want to speak with us. So that's the lay of the land. That is the reality of what we are facing. Now, I'm going to depress the clutch, pause for a moment, and talk about the why. Like, why do we see this happening? What's happening with the buyer themselves? I find this fascinating. There are basically 3 major reasons, contributing factors, and they fall into 3 buckets: a social bucket, which we'll talk about here, a transactional bucket, and a technological bucket of why they've changed. This social bucket is really the most interesting to me, because frankly, we have all morphed into what I call the anti-social generation. All of us have. This isn't just Gen Z and Gen Y millennials. This is all of us and how we've morphed. And don't miss the irony here. This is the generation of social media, right? We are the generation of social media. And we all are experiencing our social communities digitally, are we not? And it's that digital platform that is driving this outcome of the anti-social, don't miss the irony, anti-social generation, because we're just not as keen or quick to have that live conversation in person. We prefer to text you, not call you. That personal relationship is not as fast to develop. They're not as keen to talk to us live. So this, and now as it applies to B2B selling, right? This antisocial buyer wants to engage in a sales process similarly, right? On their own time, and on their own terms, looking what they want. They want to engage as quickly as possible, get what they need and go. And certainly not according to our timelines, right? They certainly don't want to waste time waiting for a demo, for example. This is the mindset. This is the backdrop of how we have to think about this modern buyer. The second attribute that is causing this change is the transactional bucket, where all of us also live in this bucket, the need for faster and frictionless buying, the speed of now. And we refer to this as the Amazon effect because it's largely been just that, just the recognition that, look, I want it immediately. Next day is too late. Same day's better. And, I don't want to have any conversation along the way. This B2C shopping experience is impacting the B2B world, right? This need and desire for fast, transparent, frictionless buying. The third of the 3 reasons why the buyer has changed is this: that AI is simply just rewriting the rules of access to data and information capture, right? The buyers have an expectation, the kind of as fast as ChatGPT or Gemini, the expectation is that I want that data now and I can get it. Like waiting for a human experience feels painfully slow, and potentially I'll say it even feels inaccurate, right? So generic answers don't cut it any longer. People expect personalized anytime available 24/7 data. And this is the third reason why buyers have largely changed. Okay, so if those are the three reasons to change, what I really think that we need to do as sellers is we need to just build a profile in our heads, like literally build a profile in our head of who that seller is, right? This is the seller. They don't want to wait, right? And they don't want a sales-led process, okay? They don't want you talking to me on the daily. They really want to run their own discovery. They want it now. They want it personalized, and they want to run our own discovery. Okay. But meanwhile, um, meanwhile, sellers, us, we can't wait either. So let's just stop for a moment and talk about us. We don't want to wait either. We're under pressure to hit quota now. I need to focus on what matters. I need to make my quota. I need to hit my bookings number. I need to hit my retention number if in CS, and hit our ARR targets. People's comp depends on this, right? People's comp, my enterprise value as a CEO, the enterprise value relies on this. So we have to get our heads around this shift towards a smarter, data-driven selling motion that isn't just tactical. This, I submit to you all, this is a strategic evolution in how we as sellers have to prioritize and engage and think about how we engage buyers in the future. Okay, so I know what you're thinking right now. I know. I know. It's like, all right, well, great, Doug. Thanks for that. Look, if we stop there, it would be depressing, right? This story up to this point is buyers are frustrated and sellers are kind of losing. They don't speak the language. We're speaking two different languages. So we know that that there is the opportunity, though, to win. And we know that companies that do adapt will indeed win. There is good news. And in a moment, I'm going to share you data. Frankly, I'm going to share you some proprietary data of experiences that our customers have had at Consensus. And it's the first time I've ever done this. But the reason I want to share the data is the evidence proves it. That it proves that we can change the game if we adapt to this new buyer. If we leverage AI, if we leverage these self-service tools, it does accelerate trust. It actually accelerates the speed of selling, enabling buyers to explore, giving them what they want effectively. It will drive higher conversion rates and outcomes. And I'll show you just in a moment. But before I do, I wanted to spend a moment and talk about the how, right? This is the third leg of my stool. We talked about buyers changed. We talked about the reasons why. Now we're going to get into what to do about it, like what to do about it, and how do we win? So here's the big question. Okay, the buyers changed. I only get 83% of the time of the sales process, of the buying process. This asynchronous 83%. How do I sell in that 83? How do I sell when I'm not in the room? How do I adapt to this new buyer? I'm only given 17% of the sales cycle, and I'm sharing that with other vendors. So to win, we must be present in that 83%. To win, you must be present. You must be top of mind. And the way we do that is provide the resources and the content and the buyer-led exploration on their schedule to make it easy for buyers. Okay, so let's get more specific. And now I am going to apologize in advance because this slide is slightly self-promoting, but what the hell? So, because this is really, let me say this. Buyers don't want to be sold to. We made that point. They want to try, they want to watch, and they want to explore digitally on their own terms. And to be honest and fair about consensus, our vision has morphed. We didn't start with this understanding. We started creating a demo automation tool, an automated demo automation tool, frankly, just to help the pre-sales community automate their demos. But what we found and what we've learned and what we explored is that this belongs in the entirety of the buying journey, that the buyer wants this experience to experience product in the entirety, from their website, from their first touch, all the way through to post-selling when they want to experience other products in your cross-selling motions. So what we've done is we've built these modalities that you see here, the try and the watch and the explore, that allow from top of the funnel to post-selling, the deepest level of exploration into your product digitally on their terms, videos that are highly personalized, that allow for everyone from a CFO, CRO to an end user to experience product. This is what your customers want from you today. So, so enter consensus, right? This is what the product experience platform is all about. It's what it's built for, to keep sellers in the room when buyers are in their 83%. So every interactive demo, every video, every experience it's intelligent, it's personalized, it's shareable, and it's digital. So this is what's in motion. You're going to see the results of how this is working today. But critical point, throughout this entire journey, intent data is yielded from that buyer. The buyer's experience is yielding intent data that we're capturing. Picture a data lake that sits under these three boxes, right? There's a big data, and it's filled with millions and millions of journeys, right? And what are we doing with that? We're feeding them back to the seller. Of course we are, right? So you can understand buying groups and new stakeholders and help. You're watching this and you can help personalize the journey, because you're watching people win and or fail in their use of it or not, right? It gives you the keys to the kingdom. So imagine now a CRO, or imagine a RevOps leader who now has access to all of this asynchronous data. Holy cow, think of what I could do with that in terms of changing my approach to the business. Imagine a chief marketing officer, top of the funnel, being able to A/B test, being able to try a new product and have buyers experience this. Imagine a sales rep who can now communicate digitally based upon signals that they're getting back from this buying group, discovering new stakeholders along the way. Right? This is the tool that the product experience platform provides. Okay, now I promised you that I would share some data on what this has produced, what has happened, what is the outcome. And I also said this is the first time I've ever done this, and it is. So I'm just taking my top handful of customers. You would know all of their names well. All right. This is their consensus attribution data. Okay. It's anonymized by collection, right? I have it all together and averaged. So this is 2025 performance highlights, 2025. So year to date, consensus has the attribution for over $5 billion of pipe created. Over $5 billion of pipe created. Consensus, when used in a deal, qualifies deals 30% faster. Without it, it's actually over 30%, 30% and greater on average. Consensus's attribution, we have $950 million of total contract value that has been attributed to the consensus method of operating. This is interesting. SE hours saved, over 175,000 hours. And this is just the top. I'm counting my customers on literally on less than this many fingers, right? This is just a handful of customers. 175,000 hours saved. Why? Because that automated demo and all of those experiences would have had to been live otherwise, correct? And now in red, the kind of important or most important points. With a product experience platform in place, you're going to find 50% more stakeholders, mic drop, right? That's because now you're absolutely communicating to that buying group, that growing buying group. And last but not least, proof is in the pudding. We close with a product experience platform in place. You will close between 2 and 5 times faster. So that's proof positive. And the reason I say that only is because I want to go back now to really why. Like why does that work? Because frankly, you're just giving the new buyer what they want, right? So this is another survey. This is Gartner's, and this is very recent, 2025 survey of what buyers want when they come to your website. What do buyers want when they come to your website? They want demos. They want product briefings. They want assessments, right? And if you were ever thinking that video is not an important component of this, think again. Video now accounts for over 82% of all internet traffic. And like, shake my head. Are you serious? But on the right-hand side, note this. 78% of buyers say their preference is to watch a short video to learn about product. Interesting. They want to watch a short video to learn about product. And 87% said that they'd be convinced to buy as a result of it. So I will tell you this, and this is just a kind of health warning. The one thing you can't do now is please don't gate your products. This is what not to do. Don't gate your website. Don't make prospects fill out a bunch of information to get product. This buyer is curious. This buyer wants it now, and you can turn that curiosity into understanding. It's the first step of selling in that asynchronous 83%. So I just wanted to let you know that is an important component of this. And now I want to just focus a little bit on some of the hangups that people have when they think about this. The first is, oh my God, content creation, that's hard. And you know what? It has been a challenge. Up to this point in time, it's been a challenge. We have invested a tremendous amount of our AI efforts into the content creation layer, which is the 3 boxes at the top. So those 3 modalities, the try, the watch, and the explore, all now have an AI content creation layer over the top of them that is unleashing the easiest and most polished way of delivering content that we've ever seen before. It is mind-blowing, and I want you to recognize that content creation is a very important part of this. On the bottom left-hand side, giving that sales rep the ability to pull together the 3 modalities of dynamic tours and video and simulations in a way that super personalizes the experience for that next stakeholder is what that discovery demo is all about. And then last, on the bottom right-hand corner, the AI insights, that's simply the data lake, right? That's where we're using AI to understand what that buyer is looking at and get those intent signals curated back to you in smart next steps, right? That allow you to get, have these insights yield next best actions. And, ultimately we want to do that even for the buyer, right? We're definitely doing it for the seller, but we're building the same engine for the buyer to help the buyer understand what their next best steps are on your behalf as our customer. The next thing, and kind of coming to the end here, the next thing I wanted to point out is I want to talk a little bit about the future and where this is headed. Because the future, if you look at our world today, we are siloed tech stacks. That's the reality. We are a siloed world. The future isn't that. The future is an agentic ecosystem, through the MCP experience where we can really intelligently orchestrate a combined intelligent, Gong, Clary, Seismic, Slack, Salesforce, consensus. Imagine us working together with a data engine that pulls the best and most valuable intent signals to you as a seller. That's where this is going. We're leading the charge here, or we're one of the leaders in the charge of this. We think that's very, very much where this is all headed. Wanted to share that with you. So, I don't know that my automation's working here. In that white box, imagine it's a cool automation, all right? but look, in summary, we know this, that the buyer has changed. Okay, that's a fact. And your go-to-market strategy needs to evolve. It's time for you as sellers to embrace this change, and you need to step into that 83% asynchronous world. You need to be present in the room. You need to be present in the room if you want to win. And if you do, you will outperform your competition. We see it. We have evidence of it. So it's just really, really important that you understand who that competition is. And then I want to end with this notion that, look, I started the conversation with saying that buyers are avoiding us, or rather that buyers don't want to speak to us. And buyers do want to talk to you on their time, when the time is right. And that's true. In that 70%, it's super important that you show up right, that you know what's been happening in the buying process, and that you nail it when you have the opportunity. So they're not avoiding us, but they're simply telling us, they're signaling to us how they want to buy. So if we observe how buyers explore and how they engage and how they try and watch and how they self-service, it gives you the opportunity to capture these intent signals that will be a game changer for you, and really reveal the opportunity on how to win. So the proof is there. It works. We're excited about the change, this never changing, always changing, rather, world that we live in today. We just need to adopt and adapt. And if we can adapt, I know that we're going to win together. So that's it. I tell you what I'm most excited about is the lineup today. And I'm going to share with you the incredibly talented lineup that we have today. Keith Rapkin is going to be up here in just a minute. He's the CEO of Pandoc, and he's going to unpack for us how AI is accelerating the go-to-market motion and reshaping self-service. I can't wait to listen to you, Keith. Kevin Dorsey will follow. He's the CRO of Finally, and he's going to be bringing the heat on the lost art of deal management and how to master close rates. Haley Katzman, the VP of Global Strategic Accounts from HighSpot, who's a great friend of ours, is going to show us how to break down the go-to-market silos we just talked about and boost sales productivity. And Bridget Winston, the CRO of Chief, is going to join our own Rex Galbraith to explore the modern CRO and how to navigate these big shifts that we're talking about in revenue leadership. And then we're going to hear from Chris Orlob, the CEO and co-founder of P Club IO. And he's going to talk about solving revenue, skills crisis, and scaling teams. And then finally, Sam Jacobs, the CEO of Pavilion, is going to step up and close us out with a look at the next generation of go-to-market leaders and how we can thrive in that environment. So